Greetings, everyone. My name is Asia Dorsey, and I am a bioregional herbalist here in Denver, Colorado. I spend the majority of my time reintroducing herbal medicine as people's medicine and helping people to reconnect to the earth through the medium of their bodies. My specialty and the intersection that I really work at is the relationship between our food and our gut. And so gut health and healing is my wheelhouse. And so I want to be of service and share with you some of the resources that I have gained throughout my career to really help you to take more control, you to take more agency, and creating resilience over your lifetime, especially in response to viral infections. And so we're going to start off this video talking a little bit about our immune system. We're going to move into a conversation about how that immune system interacts with our microbiome, and then we're going to talk about how to strengthen and fortify our microbiome with some really cool and interesting ways of addressing the things. And so let's situate ourselves in understanding coronaviruses. So the vast majority of colds and flus that we get are actually coronaviruses. And so this coronavirus is special because it is a coronavirus that we do not know. And because we do not know it, we do not have what's called adaptive immunity to the virus. Okay, so our immune system is split up into two parts that dance and engage and interact with each other. Our adaptive immune system is a highly specialized immune system that relies on learning. And so it relies on exposure to a pathogen and then learning how to implement a response. And so our adaptive system is fortified, say, by vaccinations. We are exposed to a small part of a virus. Our body learns how to deal with that virus. And then when we are re-exposed to that virus, our body already knows how to respond. The other part of our immune system is our innate immune system. And this is the immune system that we're born with. This is the immune system that was passed down to us from our ancestors. And while microbes interact with both immune systems, our innate immune system is highly governed by our microbiome. Okay, and so one of the most important things to understand about our innate immunity is that it can be changed, it can be modified, it can be strengthened. But one of the things that we want to think about when we're talking about immunity and the immune system is that it's not necessarily strength that we're going for, right? One of my favorite thinkers, Stephen Herrick Buhner, in his Herbal Antivirals book, talks about the Spanish flu and that it was actually the people with the strongest immune systems that suffered the most, who had the most casualties. And why would that be, right? The reason is because when we are responding to a cold or a flu, what's happening and the symptoms that we're getting aren't the virus. It's our own body defending us against the virus. And so, for example, when our temperature in our body raises and we get a fever, our body is intentionally raising our temperature so that we can stop viral replication. What happens when our immune system isn't calibrated or when that response is too strong, right, is that our body temperature might get raised too high and damage our brain, right? And so the same with mucus. Mucus is one of our great allies. It's through mucus, and our mucus is filled with microorganisms which in and of themselves produce antibacterial substances to stop other microbes from colonizing our body. But what happens when we overreact? is that we end up with far too much mucus, which could restrict our breathing, which can weigh down the lungs, right? And so really we're talking about how do we get an immune system that is resilient? How do we get an immune system that is flexible? One of the ways that we can improve the resilience and the flexibility of our immune system is through modulating and nourishing really our microbiome. And so what is the role of the microbiome in the immune system? Everything. But really, it does two things that we're going to talk about today. The first is that the microbiome calibrates our immune system. And what that means is that the more calibrated our immune system, the more discernment it has, right? Autoimmune disorders happen when our bodies can't distinguish between enemy and friend and attack everything, including itself, right? But what a calibrated immune system does, and that is a microbiome with a diversity of constituents, is that it helps us to increase what's called tolerance, right? And so it helps us to really fine-tune our discernment so that we can act with proportionality and balance instead of just acting. The other part that it does, and I think this is a really important conversation when we're talking about Black and Indigenous people, is that our microbiome helps us to resist colonization. And so it does that in a few ways. It will alter the availability of certain nutrients when a virus attacks. It will also produce certain compounds that, say, short-chain fatty acids, for example. But these acids will make our gut environment more acidic in order to eliminate the niches that acid or alkaline-loving pathogens would take. It also, our microbiome also produces antimicrobial peptides. And these are simply constituents that literally is this is our stuff right here, and y'all gotta go. So our own microbes can produce antimicrobial compounds to fight infections. And so they're dope, right? They're really dope. We love them. They're doing all this dope stuff that we don't even know about. We don't even know them, but they're here for us. And so how can we be here for them, right? And so how do we nourish the microbiome, right? How do we make sure that our army inside of our body is also fortified, can also have all the resources that it needs to fight for us, right? Two things help to nourish the microbiome. If you are already in a dysbiotic state and have autoimmune issues, then fiber may not be your strongest ally, but in general, the consumption of fibers, these are called prebiotics, and fibers are what feed our probiotic microbes. Another thing to think about in nourishing our microbiome, and while there's so much that I could share with you, what I really want to share with you in terms of nourishing our microbiome is going to be vitamin A. And so there are two forms of vitamin A. Vitamin A is actually only found in animals. The types of vitamin A that we have access to are called carotenoids, and these carotenoids are found abundantly in dark green leafy vegetables, as well as red and orange fruits, my favorite sources. Sweet potatoes. But also, I really, really enjoy carrots. Something special about vitamin A is that it has to be processed in order to be available to our body. So the animal form of vitamin A, the best source of that is going to be liver. And it's already processed because it's from the animal, right? And so this is going to be really helpful for elderly folks, for younger folks, and for people who have compromised statuses, right? Their body does not need to work extra to get the medicine. For those who are more able-bodied, you're going to want to get your vitamin A from plant-based sources. It's not just the vitamin A itself, it's the process of converting the vitamin A in our bodies that convey health. A specific health-promoting aspect of vitamin A is called retinic acid. And this retinic acid is actually the food for our microorganisms, the specific ones that help us to mount an immune response. And so this vitamin A, this retinic acid, does a few things. First of all, it fortifies the barrier between our gut, our gut-body barrier. And so this helps us to heal and seal the patches in our gut that might lead to inflammatory disorders and different things like that. Vitamin A is known to be an anti-inflammatory, but it works as an anti-inflammatory because it is the food for very specific cells in our body. Vitamin A is also required for immune cell activation and survival, and it really is the thing that helps our body to mount a response. So in the first wave of attack, our immune response, our body is producing tons of proteins, and that vitamin A is what allows our bodies to produce these T cells and these different compounds. And what we find is that as those productions ramp up, they get depleted. And then the body has to start looking for alternative sources, leading to inefficiencies. And so one of the things that we're going to want to do to support our body is pre-fortify our body with vitamin A. Pre-fortification means vitamin A is actually stored in our liver, and during sort of an immune response, our liver, triggered by microbes, our liver releases that vitamin A and makes it available for the production of these antiviral proteins and compounds. And so how do we get more vitamin A? Well-cooked green leafy vegetables. Things have to be well-cooked. Well-cooked carrots, well-cooked sweet potatoes, but also my favorite way of getting the vitamin A is through fermentation. So my favorite food, another way of cooking besides heat, is cooking with microorganisms. The reason why consuming fermented food as a way to fortify our body is that it has multiple ways that it helps us. The first way is going to be sauerkraut specifically. 1 teaspoon a day has more probiotic microbes than a whole bottle of pills that you can buy at a store. So first of all, it's cheap, it's inexpensive, you can make it at home. And sauerkraut specifically has been shown to work against viruses, which is, we can get into it, but just know that sauerkraut is a freaking blessing. So sauerkraut has the probiotics. Sauerkraut, because it's fiber rich, it is also a source of easily digestible prebiotics. And so you're getting not only the microbes, but the food for the microbes in one punch. The specific kind of fermented kraut that I am making for my own family at home is called curtido. This is a Salvadorian ferment that is heavy in carrots and garlic. And making sauerkraut is really easy. Making these krauts are easy. What you do is you cut up sort of the vegetables that you want to add to them. You salt them. And you're going to squeeze and work those vegetables until juice rises up to the top of the jar that you're using. You're going to make sure that the food stays beneath that brine. Keep it under the brine and it'll be fine. And then you're going to let that ferment anywhere from 3 days to 2 weeks. You can have this readily available curtido or sauerkraut or kimchi, whatever it is you're working with, could be ready in about 3 days. And so I will be posting more about how to make curtido and some of these other things at my Patreon, Patreon.com/Bones, Bugs, and Botany. But I will also be posting other content for you all as well. So yeah, just to review, we have an immune system that responds, and we want our immune system to respond with proportionality. Our microbiome being nourished is the thing that helps our immune system respond with that proportionality. We nurture our microbiome through prebiotic fibers, but also probiotic microbes and vitamin A. One of the best ways to combine all of this in one is to make a curtido or any kind of ferment with carrots. And so thank you so much for the time that you've given me to share today. And I hope that we will reconnect soon.